said. They were twisting, if not breaking arms, the Bush administration was Republican Congress to get relatively small FTAs through. Do we need to look at new multilateral approaches in countries like Korea and U.S. FTA partners to reboot a new process? We put some pressure on the WTO the way APEC did, with zealots, formulating that. There's a whole series of questions, but I think whatever you do, find new ways to address labor, environment, climate change as part of this new groups. But that's a big question. So I know that's a lot of data and things like that, but I apologize for running so long. But we look forward to working with everybody here in which we can find these solutions. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Now, just looking across the audience and seeing the sluggish turnout for an FTA that has been 2.5 years since it's signed, there's clearly a lot of interest. So if we could try to keep the Q&A questions short and not kind of speeches. With that, do you have any questions? Joe? Please identify yourself. Well, thanks. Yeah, so they have microphones.
I'm Joe Waiter, past president of the office. I'm going to have to give a clean introduction to my question here because I want to address the head of the Democratic Leadership Council. I'd like to talk a little bit about the politics of the Democratic Party. All of us remember when the day the agreement was signed and announced, you had Speaker Pelosi and 2011 standing up there with Charlie Rangel. The Army had been twisted and broken behind the fact that he was there, saying how bad it was, dead on arrival, and everything going anywhere. You fast forward to the campaign with Hillary spoke for the in September, saying dead on the polling list. With great credit, candidates at Obama didn't say he opposed it, he said he was changed. Didn't meet the test of a fair trade agreement. Some weeks back, we heard Congressman Pomeroy from Dakota, one of the Korea-friendly members of the Congress, I think, in both the House and he was talking to the Voters Hotel, in which he just described the meeting he did that morning at the Democratic caucus, in which they just ripped Charlie Rangel over the Panama FTA. Substance, and this is opinion. The political objections to the Korea FTA, as you know better than I, the Democratic Party are enormous. And now we have Congresswoman Pelosi, Speaker Pelosi. From my perspective, I'm not an expert. She has one objective: getting Democrats elected. And there is no second objective. That's it. And so here's my question. Is there any substantive fix that is possible in this agreement that would persuade Speaker Pelosi to take this thing and not risk political damage to the members of the
Well, to some extent, I have to say, if you're asking what does Speaker Pelosi need to bring this to their House, that's best directed to the Office of the Speaker. As from my perspective, as Stephen said, trade policy constitutionally is the prerogative of Congress. But I've never known Congress to act, with the possible exception of trade preference programs, without the administration, the President, and Secretary of State of the Treasury helping to define the U.S. national interest in the trade agenda. And when presidents do that, they set a framework for analysis and debate. What is the larger interest of the United States? And then you can fit particular issues into that framework. You can work out problem areas much more easily than if you're looking to Congress to initiate and drive a trade program through. And I think that is especially the case in an issue like the U.S.-Korea free trade agreement, where there are very big trade flows. There are constituencies who are worried and feel a bit threatened, and there are alliance relationships at stake, and there are questions about the credibility of the United States in developing a kind of long-term Asian trade agenda. And I think it's the responsibility of administrations to set that context, and that can have to change views within Congress. Second, my perception of the debate of the U.S.-Korea Free Trade Agreement is that it has largely been cast as an argument over cars and cows. And that is not an argument that's likely to lead to success. The U.S.-Korea relationship has big auto content. Korea buys a lot of American beef. Those are important issues, and they're important issues to particular members of Congress, including my former employer. But it is also a relationship that is very deep and broad and deals with semiconductors and information technology, with movies and entertainment, with scientific research, with academic collaboration, very large Korean-American population. And I think the businesses that are involved in U.S.-Korea trade and will stand to benefit from the agreement have not been so kind of loud and enthusiastic in going to Congress and saying this is important, as have those businesses that are fearful and worried. And so part of the responsibility when the administration is ready to begin moving trade policy to Congress is to set an overall context. What is the importance of the U.S.-Korea strategic relationship? What is the place of KORUS in developing our larger and more broader trade agenda? And part of the responsibility is on businesses and advocates and on Korean American communities to say, well, this is important at a kind of detailed and local level. And if those things happen, then I think it will have good prospects. And if those things don't happen, it will have difficult prospects.
Back here in the middle.
Amy covered it back to this question, despite my ignorance, so go ahead. If we lost 2.5% of the economy to increased savings by Americans, and if the minimal impact of a trade agreement is 3% on the economy, and if you accept the assumption that exports create jobs, plus I read in the papers that the president wants to freeze spending. So my question is, what would the budget score be for a ratification bill if it goes through Congress? How would they score it?
I guess I'm going to join you in displaying some ignorance. Or I think a positive way to phrase that would be in a desire to learn. As I understand it, scoring is kind of a negative thing for trade agreements because it's based on some degree of lost tariff revenue. And in the case of Korea, that might be significant. I have to go back and look, but the auto trade is, in general, it's about $2 billion in tariff revenue out of $26 billion in total revenue, and Korea is probably a significant part of that. So there would be, if that's all they do, is look at tariff revenue as a scoring thing, it will be mildly negative for budget projections. But those aren't good projections at all. If there is growth, then you get more revenue. And just clarifying one thing, the trade policy, 2.5% of GDP moved from consumption to savings, but the trade agreements over the last